K Sports Show 4 days before Christmas, Wednesday. A couple of us are in the holiday spirit. Got a fun little packed show for you. Kurt should be joining us a little later, but I got the other usual suspects with us, and looks like a Santa's helper with us, Mr. Paul Rosen, a Santa's little helper there with us. How you doing, Paul?
All right. Good evening, gentlemen. Merry Christmas, everybody. Yeah, I'm Santa's little elf and here to deliver all the sports news, some good, a lot, some bad, but looking forward to an action-packed show tonight.
Coming to us from his igloo in upstate New York, I believe, right, Ryan? How you doing
That's
there,
correct.
Ryan?
That's correct. Yep. Yeah, we were supposed to get a bad storm on Friday, so hopefully it doesn't hit us too bad, and hopefully everyone who has to travel can do so safely and without too much issue. But it's a great time to be a sports fan, and I'm looking forward to digging into all this across all four leagues.
And last but not least, we got Carson Shear coming to us from the North Pole. I mean, Michigan. How you doing, Carson?
What's the difference,
Hey,
really?
what's up, guys? Happy to be here. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, everybody. Looking forward to a jam-packed show today. Ready to roll.
Guys, our good friend Dave Slade, owner of Willow Blends and Seasonings, is saying happy holidays to the K&K crew. Happy holidays to you, Dave, all your family, and everybody at Willow Blends and Seasonings. Check if you need a stocking gift or a gift for Christmas, a belated gift, or just want to get something for barbecue. Dave's got you covered. Check him out, Willow Blends and Seasonings. Excuse me, fellas. So tonight's show is going to be a little different. We've got a different kind of agenda for everybody. If you all know that show Around the Horn, we're going to do it in that kind of style, but our K&K version of it. So I'll keep a little score on my end, and at the end we'll tally up the score. We'll see who comes out victorious. There'll be no eliminations like the real show. But before we get started, on a serious note, the NFL lost an icon earlier today, and ironically, a couple days before the 50-year anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. And I was talking to Sis, and Sis had said that they were going to retire his number. So I think it's only right that we talk about Franco Harris for a few minutes. And I also think it's appropriate that Paul does the talking for Franco Harris, since he has seen him play in the past, and just like to get his thoughts on what Franco Harris meant.
Really quick, Kenny, before Paul chimes in, we have Henry Zimanoff in the chat. He says, rest in peace, James Franco, the man who was most famous for the Immaculate Reception. It's shocking how the news came 2 days before celebrating the 50 years that changed NFL history. So thanks for joining us, Henry.
Thanks, Henry. And Paul, please, why don't you give us some words on Franco Harris?
Sometimes age is a virtue, and unfortunately, you guys never got to see Franco run the ball and play for the Steelers. But starting actually in the late '60s, when the Steelers for years and years had been terrible. I mean, for over 40 years, they had been one of the worst franchises in the NFL. It's hard to believe now, since that period of time, 50 years later. But in late 1969, the Steelers started getting their players, and they started with Mean Joe Green. And then the next year, even though they had Mean Joe Green, they then drafted number one, and they drafted Terry Bradshaw. And then 2 years later, filling in pieces, they drafted a young running back from Penn State, Franco Harris. And immediately, their whole offense changed. Franco added the breakaway threat, even though he was a big running back that the NFL rarely had seen before, probably going back to the Jimmy Brown days. And he was such a enthusiastic player that his followers became known as Franco's Italian Army. And he wound up leading and helping the Steelers to their first playoff in many, many years. And of course, in 2 days, it'll be the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. And I'm old enough to have remembered that, watching that game. And it's also ironic that a couple of days ago, the Raiders were involved in maybe the craziest finish of all time on Sunday against the Patriots. Well, here we are a week later. Who would think that 50 years ago, nobody had ever seen a finish like that? And at that time, uh, the NFL was different. There was no touching of a pass by two teammates on offense. Okay, they've changed that where one teammate can tip the ball and touch it, and another teammate. Um, at that time, there were no on-field calls by the referees. There was no review of plays. So, ironically, I went back and watched the Immaculate Reception, and the ball went off of the Raiders defender, Jack Tatum, who was a great player in his own right, and Franco swooped in. And ironically, he said that the reason he went toward the ball was at Penn State, Joe Paterno, his coach, always said, if the ball goes up in the air, run toward it because something good might happen and you might be able to help the play. And sure enough, that's what happened. And I'm sure we've all seen that play countless thousands of times with him coming in, picking the ball off his shoe tops and running in for the winning touchdown. So it's just a very sad, shocking time. As Carson said, he was about to be honored 2 days as having his number retired. And ironically, with all the great Hall of Famers on the Pittsburgh Steelers organization, they've only had two other numbers retired in their history. Joe Green, number 75, and a gentleman by the name of Ernie Startner, who I remember him mostly as a coach, an assistant coach in the NFL on a variety of teams, including, I think, the Cowboys. So Franco would have been only the third Pittsburgh Steeler player to have been honored with the highest honor that a team can bestow on a football player, a Hall of Famer, just a fantastic individual. I think anybody that he ever met, they came away saying that no matter how great Franco Harris was, he was as humble as he was from the day he came into the NFL. And rest in peace, Franco. And thank you for all the memories.
Thanks, Paul. Guys, want to just have a little quick moment of silence for Franco and thoughts and prayers for their family.
Sure.
Thank you, everybody. Okay, guys. So thanks, Paul, for speaking about Franco Harris for us and giving us some more, we know about the guy, but learning about how he was as a player, it's nice to hear those stories. So like I said earlier, guys, I got a little different style of show tonight. If you all are familiar with that show Around the Horn on ESPN, they have 4 panelists. Well, we got 3. Kurt will be joining us later. So you guys are going to be in a little contest tonight. I'll keep the little tally of the score here. Not going to give you the updated scores after every round. We'll do it after every 3 rounds. These topics are meant to be quick if you know the show. I'm not going to keep a timer, but I'm going to try and keep it in that minute to 2 minute range so we can get through everything on here because we have quite a few. We're going to start with baseball. And first topic I'm going to come up with is going to be related to today's news that we were talking before the show, and that's Carlos Correa signs with the Mets. And I'm going to let Paul start. What does this do for the Mets, Paul, going forward?
Oh, it's just the final piece of the puzzle by Uncle Steve putting the last present under the Christmas tree or the Hanukkah bush, or it's just an incredible addition. A couple of days before, he had lamented that he thought he had been lost, that he got into the bidding a little late, and somehow Uncle Steve pulled a rabbit out of its hat after the situation in San Francisco changed. It gives the Mets maybe arguably the best infield in the National League. Number one, it extends their lineup. Number two, it gives to me, if I bat him fifth behind a guy like Pete Alonso, it gives him protection in the lineup. It gives a veteran presence in addition to bringing in Justin Verlander and obviously Max and that kind of thing. So, I mean, it just extends the lineup. It allows other players now to become maybe the DH as opposed to having to play third base. Plus, in thinking about this, you have a guy now playing third base for the next 12 years. There could be, if not at the trading deadline, by next offseason, the Mets might be setting everything up to try and get Ohtani. We've spoken about this before, but, you know, they have a couple of really good catching prospects. We all know about Francisco Alvarez, with a third baseman that maybe they don't need now. Beatty becomes available. Alvarez, because they have another catcher that they drafted last year in the first round, and some other prospects. And you present a guy like that, you present that kind of a package to the Angels, it could set them up to get maybe Ohtani next year. But that's next year's dream. He just adds that one more superstar that New York didn't have with the Wilpons. I mean, it's it's night and day. So as a Mets fan, there can't be anybody that dislikes what's going on right now and what we've done this offseason.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Carson, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, I think Paul hit the nail on the head. You know, the Mets are, I think, the clear favorite now. They've got one of the best infields of all of baseball. I woke up, we were talking about before the show, and I couldn't believe it. You know, Carlos Correa, he just was with the Twins, and everybody's wondering where he was going to go. People were saying he could go to the Giants, but then he ends up in New York. And, you know, they're having a great time with their salary cap because after free agency, they've spent over $800 million. So you better get it done. You put all your chips in the table, and Carlos Correa was the final piece to this infield. And, you know, I expect the Mets to at least minimum get to the NLCS, if not the World Series. So yeah, it's awesome for Paul and New York Mets fans everywhere. And I think you guys are in great shape.
Awesome. Good friend of ours from haven't heard from him in a while and glad to hear from him. Ricky Litwinkowicz over at Pipe Bomb Radio is responding. And he's a Mets fan. Just because we got Correa doesn't guarantee a World Series title. Just makes them a more formidable team. I agree with that, Ricky. And great to hear from you, Ricky, and happy holidays to you. Hope everything's going well over there. Off the air, off topic, Ricky, I'll be in touch with you. I got a new number, so I'll text you after the show on Facebook. I don't have your information, so I'd like to stay in touch with you, buddy. Ryan, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I was just shocked. It's funny. I was telling you all this before the show, but yesterday, because it started to leak out in the morning that, the Giants weren't happy with something they saw on the medicals, and there was a bit of a miscommunication about something or a difference in opinion, I think it was characterized as. And as a joke, I said to a buddy of mine just after noon, I sent him a message on Discord, and I said, watch Steve Cohen come in and find a way to get him out of this situation. And lo and behold, off of what I was making as a joke, 15 hours later, that's what happens. I think the Mets are incredible in terms of their lineup right now. I mean, their payroll at baseline without luxury taxes pushing $400 million. It's like they're best, teams are looking at them now like teams looked at the Yankees 25 years ago, where they basically had, twice the payroll of any other team. But I think it's great for baseball. I'm seeing some of this dialogue and some of this discourse about how this is bad for baseball. No, what's bad for baseball is $500 million net worth owners running $30 million payrolls and telling their fans that they can't afford to retain or to go out and get good players, which I think more and more fans are starting to see that that's, total BS. And I look forward to hopefully, seeing some of these teams that, we're not used to seeing spend We've seen the Twins spend a little bit more recently. We saw Texas go out there. And I'm hoping that we'll see, maybe a team like, not necessarily Tampa, but a team like Cleveland, or a team like, as they start to develop their guys, maybe a Pittsburgh or somebody like that. These teams that are, kind of known as the low spenders and kind of very methodical and very into developing and staying out of the big money. Maybe we start to change that a little bit over the next couple of years, hopefully, because I think it's better for baseball when you don't really know what's going to happen, and it's not the same 4 or 5 teams every year playing for the big players.
Awesome. And I'm just going to add my 2 cents at play devil's advocate just in 30 seconds, because I'm a Yankee fan and I saw what they did with A-Rod, and I was ecstatic when A-Rod came to the Yankees. But then I saw him get in his high 30s, mid to upper 30s, and I saw a decline in A-Rod. I saw him and Jeter had the problem. I'm not saying this is going to happen with the Mets, but you got Correa now till he's 40 years old. He's going to break, be happy with it right now. But let's see, 5 years from now, are the Mets fans still going to be happy? But all in now, I'm for that. Go all in. So
Kenny,
right now, I'm happy.
Kenny, can I respond to you in 6 words?
Yeah.
Debt is temporary. Flags fly forever.
Yeah.
That's
There you go.
true. I think I've said to you guys, listen, I'm going to be 68 by the end of next season. I want to see another pennant. I don't want to be another Cubs or Red Sox fans that go through, decades and decades. I want to see at least one more Giant championship and one more Met championship, and then I can say, okay, that's it.
All right. Next one. Good friend Keith Brugman over at Rocky Mountain Sports Network, Denver Bronco Roundup. Let's go, Angels. No, seriously, let's go. I don't know where you're going, Keith. I
Keith.
feel your pain. I feel your pain. I'm starting to feel that pain with the Yankees the last 10 years. So let's get back on the winning track now. Let's
They've
go.
had an interesting offseason.
Let's go. Next question. I'll start this one with Carson, and then we'll get into some football, and then we'll do some Christmas talk later. And we got some time. We'll have a little open agenda later on, because I know there's a couple topics that aren't on this agenda that we can maybe get into. So again, let's try and keep the answers within like a minute so we can get to everything. I'd like to get to everything on here tonight. Carson, are the Mets favorites to win it all now? Are they favorite to win the World Series?
Yeah, I think so for sure. In the National League, maybe the whole World Series in itself. And like you just said, it's sexy and great now, but you got to capitalize when these guys are young, because in 3-4 years from now, they might start to fade a little bit out of their primes. I think Carlos Correa was a big signing for them. You guys got Verlander now to pair with Scherzer. I think they're definitely the favorite.
Awesome. Ryan, you're up next.
The only reason I'm going to say no is because I've bought in on the Mets more than half the times in the last 7 years, and they keep screwing me over. So I'm going to say no and hope that reverse psychology works.
Like it. Paul.
Well, FanDuel has them as the favorites, I think, at plus 650. I just read today. But that being said, I agree with Ricky. Met fans are historically very cautiously optimistic. So I'm going to say they shouldn't be the favorites, but I'm going to be cautiously optimistic that they at least can get to the World Series. Let's put it that way.
Good friend of mine and Kurt's from grammar school and back in our school days, Kevin Verley. What's up, brother? What's up, Kevin? Good to hear from you as always. Hope all is well your way. And thanks for listening in tonight. We got a fun little NFL show coming up. Great. So that being said, let's move on to the next topic. I got a bunch of NFL topics that are mostly related to playoff teams. And Ryan's going to start off with the first question, which has to do with the Eagles. And Ryan's an Eagle fan, for those who don't know. My question for Ryan and the panel is going to be Jalen Hurts. Should the Eagles be patient or allow him to play when cleared? Patient meaning let him rest for the playoffs, or let him play when he's cleared?
So you're starting with me, correct?
Yeah, I'll start with you since you're the Eagle fan.
Okay. So putting aside the fact that I have him on my fantasy team this week, I would rest Jalen Hurts going into this. I think that he, if he's a little banged up, then, you give him a little bit of time and get him quote unquote healthy. That's, one thing that you constantly hear is that nobody's truly 100% healthy going into the playoffs after an 18-week NFL season. So I think that if they're able to kind of manage that a little bit going into whoever they would play in that first week, also, presuming that they would get the bye, you could potentially have maybe 2, if not 3 weeks of rest for him, keeping himself active and all the good stuff. But I think that it could be beneficial for him to do that. And also, I think it's good for Gardner Minshew to get in there and get some reps with and get some game playing time with the guys that they have now, so that he can stay, in tune with the offense in the event that disaster strikes and they need him in a crucial situation. I mean, Eagles fans remember 2017. It wasn't that long ago. It was not our starting quarterback who went on that run in the playoffs. I think Eagles fans, as well as anybody, know the value of a backup quarterback. Let's see what Minshew's got for us.
Great. Couple comments from Kevin Verrilli, and for those who don't know, he is a comedian off air. Can we get to the draft already? He's by the way, he's a Bears fan. He's a Bears fan, so that's why he's a comedian.
Okay.
Can the Eagles learn how to play D is the question. And Fields made them look like my high school defense. LOL. All joking aside, he was the class clown, and he's a teacher, and he does some high school coaching as well. That's but he is a comedian in my book. Paul, you're up next.
So I read today that his shoulder might keep him out of at least 2 games. Eagles right now, as you know, Ryan, they have one more win and they clinch everything.
Correct.
The East Division and best record. So they have home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
Yep.
I think the Eagles at this point should rest him. They play the Cowboys. Even if the Cowboys win, that's not going to really affect the Eagles that much. And then they have New Orleans. Minshew is a very good quarterback, can probably be starting for a few teams in the NFL right now. There's no reason not to play him for at least 2 games. If in fact Jalen Hurts had to come back the last game against the Giants, I'm sure the Eagles would then let him play if they absolutely positively had not won against the Cowboys or the Saints, which I certainly don't see that they, at least if they lose to the Cowboys, they wind up winning against the Saints and have that win. Then there would be no need for him to play at all until their first round of the playoffs, which would give them an additional 2 weeks. So rest the guy. He has nothing to prove. It might hurt his MVP status, but hey, the bigger picture is in February.
I think it's ridiculous if that hurts his MVP status personally.
Great points. Before I get to Carson, some more comments from Kevin Verrilli. He would sit him if he was the coach, meaning he would sit Jalen Hurts, and exactly he can get one out if 2. Carson, your thoughts on the Jalen Hurts situation and injury?
Yeah, no, I agree with Paul and Ryan. I think the Eagles, they should be locked up for the 1 seed in the NFC. They got a 2-game lead on the Vikings, but I don't see the Vikings jumping the Eagles for the 1 seed, so they should be comfortable. But Paul just said it, why take a risk with Hurts going against the Cowboys and then prolong his injury, and then you're really screwed when you possibly could not have your starting quarterback in the playoffs. So I could see him playing a little bit in this game, but I think Ryan made a good point. Give Minshew a couple reps, and then God forbid, if he goes down, he's at least has some game experience this season. I think that's what the Eagles are going to do. They're going to give Minshew a few snaps.
Comment from Keith, and Kurt has joined us, guys. So we got Kurt with us. Welcome, Kurt.
Oh,
What's up, Kurt?
Holly jolly, boys. I'll start off with that.
Hey, Kurt.
What's going on?
What's up, guys?
Man, almost a half hour.
Keith's commenting about Minshew was a Leach guy. Bet he comes out and balls out after
That's
the
a good
loss.
point. He was at he was at Leach's service. I think it was a day ago.
Washington State, I believe he played for under Leach.
Yeah.
Kevin Verrilli, out of 2, Minshew can't spell why I'm a special ed teacher. LOL. He was corrected himself on his things there. Kurt, you want to take over comments, and I'll do the part of the show. And let me ask the guys a question. Since Kurt was late, I have a score where you guys are pretty much all tied. Want to just start over and have Kurt in on it? I think that's a
Yeah.
fair thing to do. You guys
Sure.
are all tied.
Absolutely.
Kurt, I'm going to let you go in 30 seconds or less each of the topics we did so you can get an
Okay.
idea.
Real quick, couple comments. Really saying walking the dog, Kurt. Nope. No, that's not true. Kenny knows that. And Jody saying, I don't know if you want to hold this or not. He's asking, did the refs screw the Redskins? And Virilli, of course, being the wise guy, said,
I'll take it
who
real
are the
quick since
Redskins?
I'll take it real quick, Paul, since I'm doing the host.
Yeah. Mhm.
It was did they make some bad calls? Yes. Did they screw the Redskins? No, because it happens to every team. And meaning it happened to the Giants last year when Dexter Lawrence was lined up in the neutral zone. What happened? Missed field goal. They got a second chance. They won the game. It happens all the time.
Alleged lined up.
Alleged lineup. It happens all the time. Fortunately for the Giants, it happened. It benefited Arch for us, but it happens all the time. And unfortunately, it happened to the Redskins, and it happens. Did they get screwed? I wouldn't go that far. It happens. Referees are human. It happens. I don't know. I don't know if anybody else wants to take it, but Kurt, I'll go 30 seconds or less each of these topics, okay? So you could just respond real quick. Your thoughts on Carlos Correa signing with the Mets?
Listen, it's still a lot of money. I mean, it is, it's a crazy contract, but hey, listen, Uncle Stevie's doing what Uncle Stevie has to do, and Met fans have to love it because this guy is going to do everything that he possibly can in this small window to win this world championship. So, on the field for now, and it's about now. Great field, great move for the Mets.
Are the Mets the favorites to win the World Series?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and then the last one we caught up on, and then we're caught up. Jalen Hurts injury. Should he play when he's allowed to clear when they clear him, or should they just let him rest? You guys got pretty much everything clinched, and just get him in the playoffs and go healthy in the playoffs.
There's no way I would play him this week because you're in Dallas. Dallas is gonna, I mean, again, the division's over, right? You pretty much got home field locked up. So, why put him out there in Dallas? That Dallas defense is gonna be jacked up, going all over the place. So sit him out this week, Plus, it's a sight game, too. So if Dallas does win, it's, hey, they didn't beat Hurts. You'll deal with him later. I don't know if I wouldn't play him at all because now you're talking a week off with the playoffs. You're talking almost a month, and you're going to put this guy back in. I mean, that's, I would get him at least a series or two, next week or the last week if he's healthy. Okay.
All right. And then real quick, Kurt, just so you know the rules, because now there's 4 of us on here. I want to keep the answers fast and moving so we can get to everything. So like a minute or less, the answers, whatever you want to get out on my question.
Okay.
So I'll continue with you. I'll give you this one first. Who's the biggest threat to beat the Eagles in the playoffs, Kurt?
49ers.
And I'm going to keep score.
49ers.
Okay. Paul.
As much as it kills me to say it, I think the Cowboys.
Carson.
Yeah, I would go with Kurt and say the 49ers. That defense is elite, and you got Christian McCaffrey, who's due for a breakout playoff performance.
Virilli saying Vikings.
It's an interesting one. Ryan, anybody?
It's hard. I think that if there is a team, I think it would be Dallas. I agree with my brother Paul on that one. There could be a window for the Giants, I think, if their run blocking wasn't so terrible. But I think that the Eagles' defensive front would be able to just eat that offensive line alive. So I think that if there is going to be an issue and a potential difficult matchup, I think it's going to be against Dallas.
Kenny, real quick, couple comments. Jody saying Detroit. Carson's got to like that. And Virilli, and this is a great point. He's saying the Vikings because they always find a way to win this year.
It's true. Now, real quick, I'm going to do the scores after every 3 rounds, but because Ryan sucked up to the host and said the Giants, Ryan's ahead. Ryan's ahead 2-1. Everybody else has 1. So when he said the Giants, I had to give him an extra point. So He's
What if
ahead
I
right
said
now.
What if I said the Giants?
You would have gotten. I would have given you 2 points.
3 points.
All right, let's start with Paul on this one. Cowboys, Paul. Dak Prescott. Is it time to panic over there in Dallas with his quarterback play in the recent weeks, or are we not panicking?
Is it an accumulation, not just of recent weeks, of recent years? Listen, they're riding with this guy. Sorry, Kurt, use that expression, but it's hey, they're going into the sunset with him, come winner or lose. So hey, they made their bed, and they're gonna have to lie in with Dak, and I don't see them going to anybody else at this point.
Carson.
Yeah, it's Dak Prescott. What version are you going to get? He seems to be balling in the regular season, but again, when I know Kurt is a big fan of Dak Prescott. When he gets to the playoffs, he's a different guy. So we're going to see what happens if he's the beast within himself. But again, it doesn't matter when you make the playoffs. And I think last time you guys made an NFC championship was back in 95, and that was when you guys won the Super Bowl. So we'll see what happens with the Cowboys. But I do not trust that team in the playoffs. No way.
Ryan.
I actually happen to be a big Dak fan as a person, in spite of the college and NFL teams he's been on. But I'm not seeing what I guess so many people see with Dak as an NFL quarterback. I think he's very mid, to use kind of a term there. But if I were Dallas, I would be concerned because I'm paying first tier quarterback money to a second tier quarterback. You guys asked me a few weeks ago, would you pay whoever it was Dak money? I don't even want to pay Dak money. Like it's a contract disproportionate to where he's at right now. He does not deserve to be paid like a Mahomes or a Herbert or a Burrow or whoever you want to say.
Kurt, I know you're gonna. Don't worry, Kurt. You're gonna get chances
a couple
to go.
Comments
no, I'm just gonna say, Kurt. Don't worry. You're gonna get chances to go before Ryan. So I'm pretty sure he took a lot of your words.
He did.
That you're about to say.
Ryan, I'm going to send the check in the mail tomorrow. Okay, Ryan.
You'll get a chance to go before Ryan.
Wait, Kenny. Ryan, did you hear me?
Yeah, I heard that.
I heard
Ryan,
that.
I'm gonna send the check in the mail because that was perfect. You said everything I wanted you to say.
Kurt, what are your thoughts on it?
Couple comments for really saying, and this is definitely true. He's saying all Dak has to do is hand the ball off. He can't blank that up. And if you're right, he's got everything around him. Right?
I disagree. He couldn't hand the ball off to the official last year.
True. Jody's saying not a fan of Tyron Smith at right tackle, and Jody's asking me Dak or Russ. Listen, it's a no-brainer for me. Easy. I'm taking Russ every day of the week, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, and whatever. But Kenny, listen, I'm calling it right now. They will not. They better hope Tampa Bay does not win that division because they're not going to beat Tampa Bay in the divisional in that first wild card round. Dallas will be out. They'll blame McCarthy. It'll be Dak you doing what, but they'll blame McCarthy and that'll be the scapegoat. But they're not going to beat Tampa Bay. So if it's Tampa Bay, Dallas will be one and done again.
I know we're talking about Tampa Bay in a little bit, but I'll tell you, I watched that game last week. Woo. Anyway.
Also, watch Dan Quinn potentially leaving this offseason for a coaching job. That's going to really hurt them.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, guys, let's move on to the 49ers. Carson, I'm going to start with you on this question.
Mm-hmm.
Brock Purdy. How far can the 49ers go with Brock Purdy at quarterback this year?
Yeah, I watched last Thursday Night Football's game, when they took on the Seattle Seahawks, and I was impressed by what Purdy did. He got to the Seattle's defense. They played smart, complementary football. They just feed the beast in the backfield with Christian McCaffrey, and that's how you win football games. And their coaching staff knows that this is a guy who's started only 2 games in the NFL. It's about to be his 3rd, and they're it's a remarkable story with him going from Mr. Irrelevant to starting on the 49ers and them clinching their division last week. So I think he can be the guy for the last couple of weeks, and then hopefully when Jimmy G comes back for the playoffs, they'll be ready to go.
Kenny, a couple comments. Jody saying you don't want Brady in the playoffs, and Return the Belt is saying, hey guys, what's going on?
Kurt, Ryan, you're up. I'm sorry.
Actually, I love Brady in the playoffs based on what happened in 2018, but But no, to go back to the 49ers, I like what I'm seeing from Brock Purdy. I thought he was underdrafted. I didn't think he deserved to fall to the last pick in the draft. I think that they can win playoff games with him. I don't think that they can win an NFC championship or go up against, if they somehow made it to the Super Bowl, go up against a Pat Mahomes or a Joe Burrow or a Josh Allen type with him. But I think that there's people on this panel who you could put in the San Francisco offense, and they could look mildly competent. So, I respect Purdy, but we haven't really seen, I think, what his ceiling or his floor is.
And
for better or
Ryan,
worse.
talking about that, really saying no one knows how to play him yet. Another 2 games, they will figure him out.
Yeah, there's just not enough tape on him.
Right. Kurt, you're up.
Listen, I kind of agree with Ryan with the point of, at some point he's going to have to make plays, but Shanahan's just going to make it so easy for him. Like you have that elite defense, that running game, and it's why for me, like Jimmy G is just, it's not the guy, like you're asking Jimmy G seriously, and Purdy and Jimmy G, like you got to make 6 or 7 plays all game. Like you're going to have to make those plays because everything else is going to be there for you. And when you can't do it in those big games, you're gonna see if Purdy's gonna have a chance because they got the best run game, they're gonna have the best defense, and they got the best play caller in football. I mean, that's 1, 2, 3 going with you. There's not much he has to do. But
y'all saw it a couple years ago. They had Jimmy G healthy, and they still put out Mostert on I think it was 31 carries or something in a championship game.
Right. No, I know. Yeah. Real quick, they're saying, I know it can't happen this year, Kenny, but I'll ask you. Jody's saying Purdy or Trey Lance. Well, who maybe just even going forward right now, what would you do?
If you point it at me now, I'd say Purdy, but I got to see more of it though. I can't do it after 2 games. But if you told me who, I got to go. You got to go Purdy. The kid showed he could play in this offense, but I do want to see what Lance could do in this offense too. Lance didn't have McCaffrey. Lance only played a couple games. I want to see Lance in this offense too. So that's tough one. That's tough, and I don't know if I can answer that right now.
We're really saying it's Lance's team come training camp.
Let's get Paul's thoughts on Purdy, and then we'll move on to the Carson's Alliance.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all you guys. I think they've basically simplified the offensive scheme for him. Obviously, McCaffrey's there. You guys have said everything that I've been thinking. They don't expect him to make too many big plays. Just don't turn the ball over. Just play good conservative ball. Let the defense handle a lot of it. If he gets them through the regular season, that will be fantastic. And then if Jimmy G comes back, he's done his job. The one thing that I just question is the scouts in the NFL and what did they see in this guy that he lasted until the last pick. He was a 4-year starter at a school in the Big Ten. What didn't he have at that time when he was being considered to be drafted that now he can just step right in at the last minute? Just makes you wonder the scouting and what they see in someone as opposed to, a Zach Wilson, who was the 2nd pick, as opposed to this kid. So
that was ridiculous to me when he was picked 2nd.
Yeah. Anyway.
All right, guys. So after 3 rounds, Ryan and Carson are tied at 7, and Paul and Kurt are tied at 6.
Nice.
You guys are all right there.
For really saying no Samuel, no Debo, that can hurt big. And Jody saying, why go back to Jimmy G?
The way I'm scoring it, guys, is all your points I'm taking into consideration.
For really saying, get the calculator, Kenny.
I know he is. I know he doesn't. I'm doing around the horn. Really, I'm keeping a fake score, so I'm tallying points on everybody's points. So the person who goes first is going to get a little advantage as the person who's going last. But if you come up with different points, you get points as well. And I'm taking in effect that, if it's a point that I feel like you were going to make, and if you're repeating somebody, if you were going to make that point, you're still getting that point if I'm making any sense. I'm being fair. I'm not calling favorites. Kurt, you won't be getting negative points for many things tonight. You're fine. That being said, let's move on to This is a question I'll start with Ryan. The Lions or the Jaguars, Ryan? Who's the more dangerous team with 3 weeks left? Both are a game. Lions are a game out of the playoffs. The Jaguars are a game out of the division, which will get them in the playoffs. And they have the tiebreaker with the Titans. I don't know the Lions tiebreaker situation, but they're a game behind the Commanders right now and tied with the Seahawks.
So this is not withstanding their current playoff position. It's just who's the more dangerous team.
Yeah, neither in the playoffs right now. Who's the more dangerous team with 3 weeks left to play? I can give you the schedules. The Jaguars have the Jets, Texans, and Titans, which would be really interesting if it comes down to that game. And the Panthers, Bears, and Packers for the Lions. Who's more dangerous? Who's got a better chance of getting in the playoffs? Let me rephrase that. Better chance of getting in the playoffs, the Lions or the Jaguars?
I don't think either of those schedules are going to make me lose sleep at night if I'm either of those teams. But I think that by virtue of the fact that they've had more cohesion, they've had more time together longer, and I've seen them for 2 years now, have either the closest, most ridiculous losses I've ever seen. I got to go with Detroit. I've been on the Detroit bandwagon for 2 years now. They've had two full seasons, I think, under Dan Campbell, maybe three. I'm losing track. But as opposed to, one under Peterson, and this team has they've been there, done that. They've got multiple years of showing that they can hang with very good teams, even if they end up losing in the most heartbreaking fashion. I think that's going to be an advantage for Detroit down this stretch, where Jacksonville, I think, doesn't have quite the experience in some of those games against teams that they would have to face in the AFC Championship.
Kenny, a couple comments coming in. Really saying Jags. Return the belt saying Lions. Jody saying Jags. Really then saying Bears. But then really saying Lions' luck is running out. And Return the belt is saying that the Lions are hungry.
That's a sour teddy bear fan over there, Kevin Verrilli. Kurt, better chance of the playoffs. Trevor Lawrence is your boy, but you've been high on those Lions. I'm curious to see where you're going.
I'll answer it 3 ways because you asked me the other question too the first time. I think the better chance for the playoffs are the Lions. I think the Lions are better off right now, but starting next year, and I told you this, Kenny, John Elway, Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, Trevor Lawrence. They're Hall of Fame quarterbacks. That's the way they're right out of college. You could see it. Kenny, you doubted him. You told me he ain't going to do this. He ain't going to do that. Listen, he will be top 3 quarterback in the NFL next year. So going forward, they're going to be Super Bowl contenders next year just because of how good Trevor Lawrence is. But this year, I'm going to say Lions.
Quarterbacks in my
No, go ahead.
Quarterbacks in my vantage point are viewed and are looked at a lot differently than they were 25 years ago. You're not getting 3 or 4 years to be mid that you were getting before. I'm not saying that Lawrence isn't going to be what they thought he was going to be, but I don't think that just because it's worked for quarterbacks 40, 30 years ago, I'm not sure that those situations are able to overlap as much with a situation like Trevor Lawrence.
Cool. Better chance at the playoffs.
Yeah, my first thought was the Lions, and not to take anything away from your Lions, Carson, but then I look at the Jags schedule at the Jets, at Texas, and I'm thinking, am I going to take Trevor Lawrence or am I going to take Zach Wilson? And I've got to go with Trevor Lawrence, and same way about facing the Texans. Those are going to be 2 wins, and then it's going to come down to the Titans, who they've beaten once before. So as much as I'd like to see the Lions in, I think the schedule is definitely going to favor the Jags to get into the playoffs.
Last but certainly not least, I wanted to definitely get Carson. It just fell in line that you were last in this question, Carson. Who's the more I won't say more dangerous. Who's got a better chance at the playoffs? And I know you're very realistic, so I'm curious to hear what you're going to say.
Yeah, these are two teams with interesting situations because you got the Jaguars who are fighting for their division. They're only a couple games out from the Tennessee Titans, and they could easily get in that way, or they could possibly get in through a wild card push if they go on their 3-game stretch. And like you guys were saying, they got the Jets Thursday night. It's going to be a big game. And they got the Texans, and then possibly for the division in the last game of the year in the Titans. So I love what Trevor Lawrence is doing. I think the Lions definitely lit a fire underneath Trevor Lawrence by blowing out the Jaguars a couple weeks ago. And I think they're a dangerous team in the AFC if they somehow to get in. But not to toot my own horn here, but it's you can't ignore what the Lions have done. This is a team that went from 1-6 to 7-7. That was a mammoth win over the New York Jets, and we have the easiest schedule remaining in all of the NFL with the Carolina Panthers, who were favored. And we go back home at Ford Field against the 3-10 Chicago Bears, who we beat as well. And then we got the Green Bay Packers on the road. That could be a giant game as well for playoff implications as well. But I think the teams like the Vikings, they are sweating that the Lions don't make it in because we beat them a couple weeks ago, and we almost beat them earlier in the year. So I think the more dangerous team is the Detroit Lions. I think they've got an amazing offense. Lamondre St. Brown, a top 5 OL. Ben Johnson, I think he's the best offensive coordinator in the NFL. What he's done has just been absolutely remarkable. Throwing slant routes to our freaking offensive linemen. What other offensive coordinator have you seen do that recently? Yeah, it's just been remarkable. I think the Lions are the most dangerous team if they get in the playoffs.
Kenny, real
Awesome.
quick, I'm going to go rapid fire just to Carson on this
Well,
one.
yeah, well, let me read for those who said Jaguars, Kurt, real quick. For those who said Jaguars, listen to the Titans schedule. They're at the Chargers this week. But they were at the Chargers last week. They got Houston on Saturday. Houston's been playing tough. Then they got Dallas on a Thursday night at home and at Jacksonville. So Jacksonville's right there. They may both get in. They may both get in. There's a very good possibility they both get in.
Carson, rapid fire. This is from Jody. He's asking, Carson, do you regret now trading Hawkinson?
Absolutely not. We've won 6 out of the last 7 games ever since we traded him, and we got a 2nd-round pick for him too in this year's draft. So he can stay in Minnesota.
Okay, Kenny, real quick, rapid fire. I'll start with Paul. We'll go everybody, just nice and easy. From Jody, another one. Lawrence or Justin Herbert, Paul?
Boy, I love Herbert, but I will take Trevor Lawrence.
I'm with you, Paul. I'm going Lawrence. Kenny?
I'm going to be realistic. Okay, right now I'm still going to go Herbert, but it's getting very close. You know, you ask me this question in 2 weeks, it might flip-flop. But right now I'm still going to go Herbert by a slim margin.
Okay, Verrilli saying Lawrence. Carson?
Yeah, this is a toss-up. I think Lawrence is right on Herbert's tail, and he's having a great year. I still got to go realistic. I would go Herbert just a slight more because of his arm talent over Lawrence.
And really saying Herbert killed my fantasy teams. And Ryan?
I think Herbert, just for the body of work that he has in the NFL, what he's shown that he's able to do in different environments for a longer period of time, I think that's going to give him the edge for me. I would not be surprised if in 2 years, now that Trevor Lawrence has a real NFL head coach with offense as his priority, I would not be surprised if he's overtaking Herbert in 2 years. But as of right now, I got to go with Herbert because I've seen more from him over a longer period of time.
Okay.
Guys, so I'm looking at the time. In all fairness, we did 2 Eagle questions. I'm going to do 1 more Lions question. We have a couple more written down. Whatever questions, I'm going to skip a couple questions. If we got time, we'll do them today. If not, we'll do them on a future show. So we'll do 1 more Lions question. We got 2 Giant questions, too, to keep it fair. Start this one with Kurt gets to start this one. Ryan had this question. And we asked this actually last week. It was so it's going to be Ryan had to step away, but it was kind of brought up last week. Kurt, Jared Goff, is he the long-term quarterback in Detroit? Yes or no?
I think that decision has to be made by the Lions, and I said this last week, in the next 3 games and or playoff game. I mean, you're going to have a high pick, right, Carson? You got whose pick do you have?
We have the Rams pick.
You got the Rams pick. So this is it. You know, like you have to make this decision right now because I'm going to be at the Lions are going to be good. going forward. So you're not going to get, and I'm not a believer, and I know Matt and Dave, those guys, I'm not picking quarterbacks at 14. Those guys aren't going to, Patrick Mahomes happened once. It's not going to happen. If you really want a quarterback, like if you want Bryce Young this year, go get Bryce Young. So I'm still going to say no. But he could prove me wrong in these next 3 games. Especially the last week at Lambeau, if that game matters versus Aaron Rodgers.
Paul.
Yeah, Carson, I work with a guy who's a big Detroit Lions fan like you, grew up in Michigan. And I asked him actually this question Monday, not knowing we were going to be discussing this. And I said, do you see Goff as your future quarterback? And he said, absolutely. He said he loves him. He thinks he's growing with the team. They finally have been able to formulate some offense around him, built up the offensive line, drafting Sewell, and the defense is now coming along. So I'm going to think he's going to be the long-term answer.
And Carson.
Yeah, like I couldn't agree more with what Paul and Paul said. Jared Goff, like I said, he what he's done is truly remarkable. He's the leader of this team. He's our captain. This Detroit Lions team, they were 100-1 to make the playoffs when they were 1-6. Now it's 50-50 to make the playoffs. I mean, winning 6 out of the last 7 games at your helm. He's the only quarterback in the NFL who doesn't have a single turnover in the last 6 weeks, which is pretty remarkable. And that's how you win football games, is to not turn the ball over. He's done everything that you've asked him to do. He's not the flashiest quarterback, but he can get it done. And he's been reliable. He's been throwing great passes, hasn't made any mistakes recently, and I think he's the long-term guy. But like Kurt just said, though, the last couple weeks for a playoff push, if he starts to kind of act up a little bit, I think that's where you kind of have to really start asking questions about the future.
Coming back to you, Carson, Virilli saying, is Hutchinson Defensive Rookie of the Year?
I think it's going to be Sauce Gardner. What he's done has been truly remarkable. I think Aiden finishes second, though.
Ryan, finish this one off.
Yeah, no, I would not have said this entering this year, but I think you stick with Jared Goff. He's had, he's continued to improve. He's gotten better as the season's gone on. I just looked, one of the go-to stats that, people are using right now people use to evaluate quarterbacks is third down stats. He's got 106 passer rating on third down for 121 attempts, which is incredibly impressive to me. I wish I could pull up more information in this amount of time, but from what I have seen, both on the, on the charts and in the so-called eye test, I mean, this guy is no slouch. He's been to a Super Bowl before. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler. You're not going to get someone in the draft. I don't care whose pick you have. You're not going to get someone in the draft who's a 2-time Pro Bowler, who's been to a Super Bowl already, and who's, ready-made with experience in an offense like this. You're just not going to find one that's going to be ready for that.
Kurt, I want to touch up. I'll take this one. I see Jody's asking Goff or Stroud. You all said, and I like who else, let's see what we got the last 3 weeks. So let's assume the Lions continue to win and Jared Goff looks good. I think you go with Jared Goff. You got the Rams pick, Carson. It should be a top 5 pick. What I would do, you're going to have a desperate team looking for a quarterback. Stroud's probably going to be on that board. Good chance Stroud's on that board at 5. And you might have a desperate team, and you can get some future draft picks, future number ones, like the Giants did for Justin Fields.
Yep.
And we ended up getting the Bears pick, number 7. You could be in prime position to be reloading and being a team to be reckoned with for years to come, because there's going to be a desperate team looking for a quarterback in that top 5 range, in my opinion. So I would go Jared Goff over CJ Stroud. So the only quarterback I would take right now would be Bryce Young over Goff, and Bryce Young's going to go 1 or 2 in my opinion. So CJ Stroud, no. I'm keeping Goff, and somebody wants to move up. Give me the king's ransom. That's what I'm going to ask for. This is what I want for this pick, and go from there. All right, boys. So score: Carson's got 12. The rest of you got 11. So it's very close. Going to move on to the Giants, and Paul gets to start the first one. That's the order we're going. Paul, first question on the Giants. If the Giants were to A, make the playoffs, and B, win a game in the playoffs, who has to step up for the Giants to who has to step up for the Giants to A, make the playoffs, and B, win a game in the playoffs?
Well, obviously their offense has evolved around Saquon and to a certain extent Danny. So those two guys have continued to do what they've been doing the first part of the season. These last three games are obviously so damn important. The defense also has to step up. As much as the offense needs to get it going, the defense has got to be able to take care of the Vikings offense. You know, that they may be the most explosive offense in football at this point. So if they can keep it manageable, maybe the offense can score a few more points. But Danny and Saquon has got to continue doing what they've been doing the whole season.
Carson.
Yeah, I'm with Paul. I think Danny has got to step up to make this playoff push. That was a big win for you guys against the Commanders on Sunday Night Football. You guys got 3 weeks left, and I think, there's going to be a lot of question marks surrounding Daniel Jones and whether you guys are going to pay him, extend him, or keep him, what you're going to do. And if he's the guy that can get the job done, I think it's Daniel Jones that's got to be the leader of this team.
Ryan.
I'm going to go a little bit off the board here. I'm going to go with interior lineman Mark Glowinski. The pass or the run protection that they've had has not been, where it should be from everything that I can find. And if you're going to have an offense that's going to rely more heavily on Saquon and go up against some strong rush defenses that they have in the NFC, then you're going to need more from your interior O linemen in order to, get those holes open, in order to be able to allow him lanes to do his thing. Otherwise, I think you're going to end up stifling your ability of your offense to, be maximized in the ways that, you brought in Brian Daboll to accomplish.
Kurt.
Couple comments really saying you got lucky against my Bears 4 times in the red zone, 12 points. Was so pissed and arguing with Giant fans at MetLife, me and my one leg. If they had a wide receiver, they would be good. He has no one to really throw to. Daniel Jones is going to be the next Trubisky. Mr. Beelan, fellas, happy holidays, happy birthday to the legend Eddie Sis.
Hey, Beelan.
And Jody saying, well, is Thibodeau overrated? We'll get to that one. So, Kenny, which one you want me to answer, Kenny? I'm sorry.
Who has to step up for the Giants to not only make the playoffs, but for the Giants to win a playoff game?
Listen, I could talk this about, Ryan brought it up before, about overpaying Dak Prescott. I mean, if you guys are going to still have conversations, should we get Daniel Jones? Should we not get if it's not Daniel Jones and he don't do it, why the hell would you pay him going forward? So it has to be the quarterback, especially if you're paying that money. Ryan nailed it before. He said, I don't want to pay Dak money. I'm not paying. Daniel Jones is making $8 million. He's an $8 million quarterback. I mean, you know what? Show me something. And showing me something now just isn't getting into the postseason. Not when you want $20 and $30 million. I'm sorry. Toe-to-toe, go into that. You cannot expect the Giant defense, if they play the Vikings this week or even in the postseason, to hold that offense to 14 points. That's just unrealistic, and it's unfair. If you want this money, Daniel Jones, now, the next 2 games, get into the postseason, and in that playoff game, put up 24 to 27 points. Otherwise, I'm not giving you that money. That's point blank, because you're only going to be worse as a team if you're paying a quarterback more money because you can't add to the team. So you're going to be what you are now. So Daniel Jones is my answer.
Fair enough. Ryan took the lead with his Mark Lewinsky, by the way. So it's 15, 14. Everybody else has 14. So Ryan overtook the lead in that one. But I would have went defense. And even though he's a rookie, what I saw against the Commanders, Thibodeau needs to continue to step up to get us to the playoffs and be that guy on defense in the playoffs. We all know what we got on offense. We all know what we got on defense. And you got to get a pass rush if you want to have any hopes of winning a playoff game. You're going to have to get a pass rush and rush the quarterback. And Thibodeau's got to be that guy to lead the defense, even though he's a rookie. He showed me what a true veteran type of impact player he can be going forward. So that would have been my pick, but good picks on everybody else. But Mark Glowinski gets the bonus point there. Carson, you get the second Giants question I have here, and then we'll move on to the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
This is from Ryan. Jones or Barkley? I left Slayton out here. Jones or I'm making it more interesting. Can only pick one to keep, and one has to go. You keeping Daniel Jones or Saquon Barkley next year?
I think eventually, right now, Saquon Barkley is better than Daniel Jones. I think you guys have to make a decision on whether you're not going to keep Jones, because if you believe Barkley's your guy, you got to keep him. The problem is, though, is Barkley's going to ask for a ton of money. And what happens when you overpay a running back? Usually they don't perform well. So I think if you're going to give a guy money, it's got to be a quarterback. And like I said, if Daniel Jones can get you guys into the playoffs and get a playoff win, he can be your guy. But you better not pay Saquon a lot of money, because that money could go to his head like it has in previous running backs, and they just don't perform well. He's having a great year this year, and he's had some injury-prone issues before in the past. I think if I had to pick one to go, though, I would let Saquon go. I'm not paying him that much money for a running back.
Great. Ryan, you're up.
I'm not. I'm of the mindset too that I'm keeping Jones over Barkley. I due respect to the year that he's having, but he's missed at least 3 games in each of the last few seasons, and that's that one season that he barely played at all. And we talk about this every year. You look at. Look at your fantasy football, going into every year. We're always talking about, for example, I remember a few years ago, David Johnson was the top running back. When's the last time anyone ever said David Johnson's name? Eddie Lacy was out there. When's the last time we heard from him? These running backs are so volatile as a position, and more so in this day and age as it becomes more of a pass-heavy league. I don't think that, and just in positional value, let alone, the volatility of injuries and whatnot, I don't think you can afford to make a sizable commitment of your payroll to that position, especially for an injury-prone player such as Saquon has shown to be.
A couple comments. Verrilli saying franchise tag him. Verrilli's also saying second contract for running backs is always a mess for some reason. Jody's saying sign Jones and go sign Josh Jacobs. See, I just listen. I don't think I wouldn't pay either one, because everyone's has good points. Carson nailed it. Barkley ain't going to say I'd take a $9 million. He's going to want McCaffrey money, right? And it's all of a sudden Christian McCaffrey's no good because he's making $20 million. That's a lot of money, but I'm sorry. I am not paying Daniel Jones any kind of money, because you will never, ever, ever win big. And he's not a franchise quarterback. So I would roll the dice and say, listen, if I'm going to pay Barkley, I'd rather go Barkley and Jimmy G. I'd rather pair him with anybody than say Daniel Jones and Josh Jacobs. You ain't winning 4 games with that team. I just don't trust Daniel Jones. I don't want to pay Daniel Jones. So I am not paying Daniel Jones. So I would say Barkley.
Okay. And Paul.
As a Giants fan, this is a Sophie's choice type of question. It's interesting because during the break week, the bye week, they had discussions with Barkley about a new contract, and I guess the sides couldn't agree, and they put it off, which is one thing. Obviously, we all know the Giants didn't extend that 5th-year option to Daniel Jones. But on the other hand, John Mara, the Giants owner, has said we've done everything to screw this kid up. So it sounds as if after the way he's played so far this year, that there could be interest in keeping Daniel Jones. And I agree with you guys. Sometimes running backs on that second contract, especially with someone who has been injury prone, could be a big, big mistake. So I'm keeping Jones. If I can get him at a reasonable price, obviously not Dak money, not Rodgers money, not Mr. 245 money. But if we can get him at a reasonable price for a short-term 2-3 year contract, I would do that.
But see, Paul, I agree with you. I'm not saying like Daniel. See, I'm just saying the money aspect. I would have no problem. Daniel Jones is making $8 million, but I'm just looking at this real quick. In my opinion, he's not better than Josh Allen, Tua, Lamar, Burrow, Cleveland, Deshaun Watson.
Kurt, can I just interrupt for a
So
second?
I'm not paying him. I'm not. If he's a top 20 quarterback, he's getting the 20th paid money. He's not getting more than any of those people.
You know, it's interesting you brought up Tua. Up until this year, people had a lot of concerns with Tua. Oh, was he worth that high a pick? Oh, he's been injured. Oh, this. All of a sudden, he has Tyreek Hill, Waddle, a great offensive line around him, and all of a sudden, he's now the greatest thing since he was at Alabama.
No. What I'm saying is, I wouldn't pay him big time money anyway. But he's still like he's better than Daniel Jones. So
no, but what I'm saying is, you give a decent quarterback complementary weapons, and all of a sudden, that level of
But you just nailed it. You just nailed it. What did you just say? Say what you just said.
I said you give that quarterback.
No, you said what kind of quarterback? Decent. So he's a decent. So I'm going to pay you decent money. I'm not paying you high money. That's exactly it.
Right. I didn't say that they should pay him, like I said, Dak money or obviously not, Russell Wilson money or Aaron Rodgers money. But if they can come to a contract that's fairly consistent with who he is, plus not breaking the bank, which allowing the Giants to fill some of the other positions they need, hey, I'm all in.
How much money does Goff make, Carson?
$30 million.
He ain't better than Goff.
No, I wouldn't pay him more money than Goff.
All right, guys. So the score after the Giants. Ryan's in the lead with 17. Carson's right behind, trailing right on his tail, 16. Paul 15, Kurt 13. The reason why Kurt
why
and Paul
am I getting screwed with these points?
You and Paul got -1
What?
because you debated, and it's fine to debate. I'm not stopped. There's no stopping. There's no mute. And I told you, it's not going to be like this is a version of Around the Horn. You guys can debate all you want. I'll sit back, but when the more you debate, the more you're going to lose points.
Uh-oh.
But it's fun debate. Debate's fun. I got no problems with the debate, but we're trying to get through a lot of things. But here's my question, guys. Why don't I hold off on the AFC part of the show to 2 weeks from now? Well, next week is I'm thinking of doing a year in review show. And then 2 weeks we'll do the AFC version of this and some other topics that come up, because I got some Christmas topics to talk about. We got Christmas coming up, and Paul's got some stuff he wants to do. But in the meantime, I want to do a quick 5-minute Bronco Mania if you guys are okay with that. And then we'll get back into finish the Around the Horn portion with the Christmas, which I think will declare a winner, because it's all your answers. I'm looking forward to some of your answers here.
Real quick, Kenny really saying, wow, Kurt's so screwed, no debating. Jody saying, I lost points because of hating on Jones. Keith saying, if you pay him as the 10th best this year, in 3 years, he will be paid in the late teens. Really saying, I'm coming on next week for the holiday special.
Let's do it. Anytime anybody wants to come on for the holiday special, they're more than welcome. Jody, Keith, anybody. We'll have a nice little holiday party.
Holiday special? It's holiday Sunday.
New Year's. We'll have a year in review show with our friends and guests. It'll be a fun show. Real quick, I want to do a quick 5-minute Bronco Mania. Jody's listening out there. Keith's listening out there. I'll let Kurt go in like 2 minutes or less, and then I'll get everybody else's answer. Broncos now, Kurt. They won. You finally got a win against Arizona. It looked pretty good. Ripping quarterback, and you scored in the 20s. The week before, you were right there with
Kansas
City to the very end. And I feel if Russell Wilson didn't get hurt, you may have had a chance of beating Kansas City. Could we possibly? I know you said 25 days last year and counting. Could we possibly see Nathaniel Hackett returning next year?
They were talking about this on the Denver shows this week. First off,
And would you bring him back next year? That's
me,
the
no.
second part of the question.
No, I would. I'm going to be honest, and I know you're not.
That's more of the question. Are you bringing back Nathaniel Hackett next year if this team performs well in the last couple of games?
No, I would not bring him back. I think this team needs an adult, like again, a veteran head coach. But more importantly, they got to play to Russell Wilson's strength. So this is the only way, only way I would do it. And again, my percentage is 1% bringing him back. You know, first off, you have to blow out the offensive staff, right? They need an offensive coordinator who, and I know it's sad to say, but Russ is going to have to give the thumbs up, okay. You know, I'm not that Russ is calling the shots, but Russ feels comfortable working with. This offensive system is not going to work. It doesn't work for Russell Wilson. This is an Aaron Rodgers offense. Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson are two different players. So, no. But back to Hackett, you know what would, only thing that would change my mind, not change my mind, but would make me go, wow, is next week. Not Christmas Day, not versus the Rams, next week at Arrowhead. You know what? We haven't beaten them. We've played them tough in Denver. We've got blown out year after year in Denver. I'm in Kansas City. Go win in Kansas City. Go win in Kansas City. Let me see if you have a plan. Let me see if you have an offensive scheme that's going to score points against Kansas City. Not Arizona and Trace McSorley. Kansas City. That, again, but me, you're getting me fired up, knocking the microphone over. I'm going to go. I'm still saying no. I'm still saying no. I'm going to say no.
Okay. Let me go real quick, and then I'll go to Paul and Ryan. And if Carson's back, we'll get Carson starts. Kurt, I was the biggest doubter of Nathaniel Hackett from preseason, even before the Seahawks game. What I've seen in the last 2 weeks has me thinking this guy might be back next year as your coach. This team looks like they're playing hard for him. Things may have taken a whole year and a wasted year, but do you want to take a chance next year with a whole new system, a whole new coaching staff, and hope that Russell Wilson can gel with them? Or do you bring in, I think we had this conversation with Matt, who I think brought up an excellent point, Matt Staffiero. Do you bring in a veteran guy who's coached before, like a Jim Caldwell, to help Hackett out? And if Hackett and the Broncos are 1-3, let's say, after 4 games.
You need help after 17 games? As an NFL head coach?
You bring him in. Here's my reason to bring him in. Hear me out.
I know what you're going to say, but I'm saying.
Because if they're 1-3, Kurt, if they're 1-3, Caldwell takes over the team. You have somebody who can take over the team. Hackett may turn this team around, Kurt.
You know, I want to say.
I'm going to start the hashtag Bring Hackett Back. I'm sorry.
Right. Jody's saying, why does Hackett need baby? So, you know, I heard Mark Schlereth the other day, and he made, can you give me 30 seconds? And he made the best
then I want the other guys, I want to know their opinions
point about this. He said, I watched that. I don't know if you guys watched the Rams-Packer game the other day. He said, but you watched that offense, right? And that's the offense we were promised, right? We were promised that's what Hackett's going to bring over. And they said, you look at how easy. Now, listen, Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback, one of the best of all times. But he said, look how easy this game is. Why? Because right out of the gate, you run the ball, and now you run your bootleg. When you have your bootleg, fullback in the flat, second receiver dragging somebody deep. He said, you run that 5 times a game, you're 4 for 5. Now what does LaFleur do? Boom, 5 quick bubble screens. So now you're 9 for 10. 9 for 10. Hit the back out of the swing twice. Boom, 11 for 12. That's without doing nothing. You're 75 to 80% doing. Where is that this year? Why aren't we doing that? Why aren't that's not on Hackett?
You're right. Let's get the other guys' opinions. I'm saying, I can't believe I'm saying this, guys. I'm saying hashtag Bring Hackett Back. I can't believe I'm saying it.
Nope.
I'm bringing him back.
Nope.
Paul, are you bringing Hackett back?
Kenny, are you bringing him back with the whole? Who's the offensive coordinator?
I don't know yet, but Hackett's coming back. Probably a new offensive coordinator because you don't have one.
Okay, so we're not keeping this coaching staff's not staying together.
On the offensive side, I wouldn't keep the offensive coordinator. Maybe the offensive line coach has got to go too. They got to change. Hackett's coaching staff's got to change, but Hackett comes back next year. Giving him a 4-game window. Paul, your thoughts? Are you sticking with me or are you sticking with Kurt?
In thinking about this long and hard, I think he may be able to come back, and I'll tell you why. I think last week, without Russell Wilson playing, a lot of teams would have said, you know what are we playing hard for? And I think that game showed me that, hey, their jobs are on the line. They played hard for this guy with Rippon as the backup quarterback in there. And that impressed me tremendously. So, they could have folded their tents. They could have said, the hell with it. It's a long season. We should have been much better. But they played hard for him. They played the whole game. They controlled the game. And I think based on, especially last week, like Kurt did say, let's see what happens in Kansas City. But you know what? I think he's improved over the last half of the season to the point where, hey, he should be brought back.
All right, Paul's with me. Carson, what are your thoughts on this? You're always realistic.
Yeah, I have to side with Kurt here. There was high expectations for this Broncos team. You bring in a guy like Russell Wilson, he's a Super Bowl champion, and the problem was is it Wilson or is it Hackett? And I think it's more so on Hackett. This team, all of us said before the season started, the AFC West is going to be loaded. You got the Chiefs with Mahomes, Chargers with Herbert, Raiders with Carr, and then you got Broncos with Russell Wilson. And you could argue that Wilson's the second best quarterback in that division behind Mahomes, and you're 4-10. I think that's a fireable offense, and the Broncos are a historic franchise. And I'm with Kurt. I think Hackett has got to go, and I'm going to be the biggest Broncos fan when they take on the Rams Sunday because I want the Rams to lose because that helps out the Lions pick. But I think Hackett. I think he's gone.
You know what I think the difference is, Carson, Kenny, real quick, and you guys disagree with me or agree with me, is I think it's how they lost, right? Like, if the Vikings lose, the Vikings are still putting up 30 points. So it's like, see, O'Connor came in, he did his job. Look, they're doing points. They need defensive help. Our defense is top 3 in the league. He's an offensive guy. He can't score points. That's why he's got to go. If we were losing 41-38, yeah, Hackett's offense is working. We'll fix the defense. But that's the thing. When you get your coach, and I'm an offensive guy and I'm losing because I can't score points, that's on you. That's on him. And that's what he failed to do this year.
Ryan, what are you doing with Hackett?
We remember that this last win was against the Cardinals, right? I typed in Cardinals right here. Arizona Sports, Bickley, Cardinals 2022 season, one of NFL's most dysfunctional. Cardinals dysfunction dwindling the chance of Sean Payton interest. Cliff Kingsbury leading a dysfunction. Every article you can find recently is Cliff Kingsbury on the hot seat, locker room dysfunction, and this is a team. They beat this team by 9 points with Colt McCoy and Trace McSorley as their quarterbacks. I know that Brett Rippon was starting for Denver, but you're telling me you're bringing back potentially a coach based on a 9-point victory, scoring 24 points on a team with all that going on?
Good point.
I don't want any part of that. I think that great if he can go in and do something in Arrowhead. Great if he can finish out the season strong, but I'm sorry, that stat from a couple weeks ago was emblazoned into my head that if they scored 21 points or whatever.
No, 21. If they scored 18,
whatever the hell it was,
they would have been like 10 was 10-1.
But whatever it is, I keep going back to that, and no, I can't say that I'm giving a guy a job back because he can beat a dysfunctional team that's starting 2 quarterbacks who would probably be starting on most CFL teams right now.
Go win in Arrowhead. Right, then we'll talk.
Well, Kurt, I forgot to tell, and I apologize. I forgot to let Carson and Ryan in on the joke. But you know how there's April Fools in April? Well, Paul and I got you all fired up because there's no way in hell. But I will be buying you the Bring Hackett Back. # Bring Hackett Back T-shirt for Christmas, but there's no way in hell. You really believe the way I talked about him at the beginning of the year that I would bring him back next year?
But I'll tell you this though, Kenny, and you agree.
Gotcha.
Agree or disagree with me on
April
this?
Fools in December.
No, but Kenny,
baby, let's go.
Ownership makes this decision. not the GM, not
I know.
Peyton. Right? Am I right or am I wrong? Ownership is making this full decision if they want
Yeah,
him,
absolutely.
and if he
Yeah.
goes, who's the head coach? Peyton
Yes,
does
absolutely.
the interviews. Peyton does all that, but this is not George Payton's call. This is the new ownership call on who the head coach is.
Well, Paul and I got you a little early
did.
birthday fired up.
I was
present there.
wondering about that, Kenny.
Yeah. I apologize, Carson and Ryan. I swore I would have let you guys. I can't believe I forgot to let you guys in on it. I apologize.
You're good.
Let's do some Christmas topics real quick, Kurt. We got about 10 minutes left, but if we go over a couple minutes, it's Christmas. So
Real quick,
I don't wanna go
Jody's
to-
saying Dan Quinn or Gary Kubiak. Oh, I would take Gary Kubiak.
because I want to get my. We're going to do my Christmas topics real quick, and then Paul's got some special things for us to end the show. Christmas. I'll start with Paul. Your favorite Christmas movie?
Home Alone.
Okay. Carson.
Yeah, I'm with Paul. Home Alone is the greatest Christmas movie ever.
Ryan. Ryan froze up, so I'll just give him a point because it's Christmas.
There you go.
I don't think he would. I don't think he would mention
You're not going to be Scrooge.
a horror movie, so I think we're good. Kurt.
I'll go with Home Alone too.
All right, you all get a point. It's Christmas. Favorite song, Carson?
You know what? Can I change mine? Because Jody just made one. Can I change mine?
Home
Jody
Alone
said,
would-
Jody
Go
said
ahead.
Christmas Vacation, Chevy
All right,
Chase.
I'll give
I'm
that one
going
a
with
point
that
too.
one.
That's a good one.
I'll
I'll give that
go
one
with
a
that
point.
one.
Yeah, I just watched that the other day. Carson, favorite song, Christmas song?
Oh, wow. God, probably Jingle Bell Rock.
I like it. Kurt.
Couple more movies really saying Christmas Story. Keith saying Brugman. I'm sorry, Keith Brugman saying Elf.
All good ones.
Yeah.
You guys aren't gonna like it, but I'm gonna go Mariah Carey. All I Want for Christmas is You.
Nice.
I know you're not gonna like it, but
Mariah Carey. That was my high school crush. I'm gonna give you a point on Mariah Carey.
thank
Funny
you.
story.
Remember that guy.
We went on
Remember
a
that, guys.
vacation to Puerto Rico, and her and Martin Lawrence were staying at the hotel while we were there too.
Nice.
I didn't get to see Mariah, but we got to see Martin. He was a cool guy.
Martin Lawrence.
For really
Ryan's
saying
coming-
still
Ryan's coming
terrible
back
taste
in.
in music.
I think Ryan's coming back in. We'll give him a second.
There he is.
All right, Ryan, you with us?
Yeah, don't be docking me points because my Wi-Fi's dog water.
No, no, not at all. I'm going to give you a chance. It's Christmas, so you're going to get points on
Yeah, he
this.
gave you a point. You weren't even on the show, Ryan.
Favorite movie,
Generous
Ryan?
Kenny.
Favorite movie? You better name a Christmas movie, or you're going to get that.
My favorite Christmas movie?
Yeah,
Die Hard.
I'll give it to you.
Mm.
It's a different one. I'll give it to you though. It's Christmas. I'm in a giving mood. Favorite song?
My favorite Christmas song?
Yeah.
Can I give you my least because I don't have a favorite one?
Sure.
All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey.
Oh, dock him. You have to dock him because you
I
gave me the
do.
point,
I got to
Kenny.
dock you one.
Oh my God.
I just said it.
Hey,
Mariah
guys,
Carey was my
remember
high school
that?
crush. She was my
Oh
high
my
school
God.
crush.
Dock him too,
I
Kenny.
got to dock.
him too.
I docked them one.
Okay.
Oh
And then
my
I'm being in a
Good boy.
generous mood. I docked them one.
Good boy.
All right. I got a couple more for Christmas. I got two more.
Wait, you didn't ask me my favorite.
I didn't ask you. What is your favorite song, Paul?
I am going to say, I had two, but I'm going to say Feliz Navidad.
I like it.
Nice.
You would have gotten 2 points if somebody would have mentioned Dominic the Donkey, Charlie Brown, or Muppets 12 Days of Christmas. You would have gotten 2 points.
Jody's saying Wham! Last Christmas, and Kenny's going again. Are you sure, Kenny? Now, Kenny has no idea how many points he's adding here. Yeah, this list is
Nice.
probably over.
No, we're good. We're good. Paul, artificial or real tree?
Artificial.
Kurt,
We've gone live tree since Jen and I lived together, but we're back to artificial this year. The live tree got to Jen's sinuses and stuff like that, so our allergies. So we're
Yeah.
back to artificial.
there you go. Carson,
Yeah, I'm with you guys. Artificial. You know, you buy it once and you have it for
That's
a
it.
dozen years, and you buy another one. I go artificial.
We're really saying no tree, and Keith is saying real tree.
Well, I know Keith's up there in Montana. He can go
Yeah.
anywhere in the
Oh,
mountains and get
he
those trees.
get a new
Oh,
tree a
I
day.
don't know. It's -6,
Minus 14 degrees.
-40 wind chill, man. Who you think it's cold where you are, Kurt, in Carson? -40. Well, you're up there in North Carson, but I don't think you've
Yeah.
seen -40. All right, Ryan, artificial or real?
Yeah, no, I'm with Jenny Hoops. My allergies can't take real trees as much to my mom's chagrin. But I was on NJ.com earlier and they were asking the same question, and everyone was saying real tree. I'm like, am I the only one with allergies in the Northeast? I'm very confused how it's all one-sided.
Last one. This one. Make your answer unique. This could make or break the game. Carson's going to go first.
Mm.
When you leave cookies and milk out for Santa, you usually leave chocolate chip cookies.
Yep.
Be unique.
Yeah, this is.
You can't use chocolate chip cookies.
Mhm.
Give me a unique cookie you would leave for Santa.
Yeah, this cookie gets a bad reputation and they're all shameless, but this is the most underrated flavor cookie of all time. Oatmeal raisin cookie for Santa Claus. So good.
I'm going to give you 2 points for that one.
Nice.
I like it. Kurt, what cookie are you leaving for Santa?
Keith's going sugar cookies. Listen, it's Christmas time, right? So you got to leave some kind of a Christmas cookie. I'm going gingerbread cookies.
I'll give you 2 points.
Thank you.
Ryan.
When you come to the Woodham/Vitale location, my mom's family all had it there at an Italian import store when she was growing up. You're getting holiday cucciadati from our place.
And what is that? If you want 3 points, you got to tell me what it is. That sounds good.
You cut out for a second. I'm sorry.
If you tell me what it is, I'll give you 3 points. If not, it's 2 points.
Oh, if I tell you what cucciadati is?
Yes.
Okay, so like I said, it's an Italian cookie. It's got figs, dates, orange juice.
Oh yeah, yep, I know what that is. Never knew the name of that. That's a 3-point.
Yeah.
I love those. Those are good. My mom's friend used to make those. Like you said, I didn't know there was orange juice in there, but I knew there was fig in there.
You can make them a couple different ways, but I cannot wait to make those this year.
Yeah.
Listen to some of these comments, Kenny. Sugar cookie from Jody. Keith saying sugar cookies and a shot of whiskey, and Virilli saying cyanide-filled cookies. Anytime.
Jesus God.
What did Santa Claus do to you?
Yeah.
He's unreal. He's the Grinch.
He's the
All right, boys. Paul.
Wait. So it's going to be cold for Santa, very cold, especially across the United States this year. And what's better than cold? Having a little nip. So I'm going to leave Luby's famous rum balls for Santa.
That's a 3-pointer too. The homemade.
Oh.
You got Ryan and Paul got 3 points because they went homemade for Luby, and Ryan and his family's going to be making cookies. So you all got 3 points. I think we got a 3-way tie at the top. So we're going to keep this score, and we're going to continue for the AFC. Ryan, Paul, and Carson have 19, and Kurt has 18.
Nice.
Kurt. You should have went with something Jen made.
I know. Well, you know what? I could have like really sucked up to you and Kenny and just said I could have got
Sorrento's,
Frigali's, one of those like you like all that stuff. Yeah, Sorrento. Yeah, like that.
But it's close, and we'll keep the score for next week. So after round 1, it's 19, 19, 19, and 18. And that will conclude the first half of our Around the Horn style. Appreciate all the comments. Paul has a little something special for us for Christmas, fellas. And I know Kurt and I know what it is. Carson may know what it is. Ryan's new to the show, so he doesn't know. But we'll let Paul explain what he's doing for us for the Christmas spirit.
I started last year, and I did some song parodies that I did last year. And I said, all right. We had some new panelists this year, and I thought it would be appropriate if we did a little Christmas song parodies.
Awesome.
So I did a little for everybody. So let me start off, Carson. I'm going to start off with you.
Okay.
And this is to the tune of "Let It Snow." Okay. Oh, the Michigan State play is frightful, but the Lions play is delightful. Mel Tucker has got to go. Carson knows, Carson knows, Carson knows.
That
love
was
it.
awesome.
That's
That was
incredible.
good, Paul. That was good.
That's
That
incredible.
was a good one.
All right. So we all mentioned Mariah a little bit ago. The next song is for Ryan. All right. Forgive me, Mariah, with my voice, but this is to the tune of "All I Want for Christmas Is You." All right. Da, da, da. I don't want Brandon Nimmo. I don't want Reynolds too. I wasn't looking for Bogey or Turner. I'm not asking for much this winter. If the Yankees didn't bring him back, all I could say is, oh, fudge. All I want for Christmas is Judge. I just want to watch some home runs soar, and I'll even watch strikeouts too. Not even thinking about the Nets and Eagles. If the Eagles didn't bring him back, all I could say is, oh, fudge. All I want for Christmas is Judge.
See, if
Nice.
if that's what they played on the radio, I could listen to that.
There you go.
All right. Kenny, this is for you, sis, and I. And this is to the tune of I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. I'm dreaming of a Giants winner, just like the one sis Kenny and I used to know, with Saquon running and Danny Dimes humming. We want to remember of times long ago when defense stopped them and the team was on top of them, of seasons long ago. I'm dreaming of a Giants winner where every Giants fan say, all right, may our games be happy and played with might, and may all our seasons be bright.
That's awesome. I love it. Now I know the finale's coming. I can't wait for this one.
All right. I had one for
If
Kenny,
it's not
but I'm
if
gonna,
it's not something with Holly Jolly, Paul,
If it's not Holly Jolly,
I
this is a
I'm
missed
gonna be
opportunity.
disappointed.
I won't disappoint you, Kurt.
All right, good.
All right. So I have two for Kurt if I can play him.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. This is the first one is the Bruce Springsteen version of Santa Claus is Coming to Town. All
I love
right.
that version.
All right. All right. It's cold in Colorado. The wind's whipping down the field. Hey, Broncos. You guys know what time of the year it is? What time? What? It's playoff time. What? Oh, playoff time. You guys, all you guys been good and practicing real hard? Yeah? Russ? Hey, Russ. You've been practicing real hard? Hey, Coach Hackett, I'm going to bring you a new football. Everyone out there been good or what? Oh, that's not many Broncos. You guys are in trouble out here. You better watch out. You better not cry. You better stop pouting. I'm telling you why. Russell Wilson came to Broncos Town. Russell Wilson came to Broncos Town. Russell Wilson came to Broncos Town. He's your quarterback, he said. Let's ride. Most Bronco fans just want to hide. Russell Wilson came to Broncos Town.
That's awesome.
I think that
That's
was
the best
awesome.
one
Paul. I
so
know
far. I
we got one. We got one more
because
for
he
Paul.
sounded like him too. That's
But I think Paul needs to come
Get a
on
little
with the
Bon
Bruce.
Jovi in there.
Paul needs to come on next week on audio, and I'll say, guys, we got a special guest. We got Bruce Springsteen joining the show. We can talk in Bruce Springsteen voice all
He's
night
my
long.
favorite of all time. I would be ecstatic.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, guys. Okay, one last one.
This has to be Holly Jolly.
You ready? You ready, Kurt?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. This is to the tune of the Christmas song. Russ's nuts are roasting on a Denver fire. Defense is nipping at his toes. Broncos offense in a muck and mire. Russ's passes are lousy and errant throws. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to Bronco fans from 1 to 92. Start rooting for the Seahawks of Seattle and Geno Smith too.
I like the Geno touch. I like
That's
the Geno
nice.
touch.
That was awesome, Paul. Thank
If
you.
you guys, let me ask you this. Real quick. I've named
But
so
that-
many.
that
I've
was
named
awesome.
so many players this year, like Geno Smith and Dak. If you guys could buy me one football jersey as a mockery, like just like if somebody like who I just always trash talk, what jersey would you get me, Paul? Go ahead. One. You got one.
Oh,
shot.
it would have to be Gino. There hasn't been one iota, one syllable of a word coming out of your mouth that likes Gino in any aspect.
Carson, who would you do?
Oh man, yeah, probably Paul's. I'd go Geno Smith as well.
Ryan?
Does it have to be football?
Nope.
I'm getting you a nice, crisp number 19 Aaron Boone jersey.
That's good.
And Kenny, you gonna go different or no?
Oh, I thought of another one.
Dak would be the easy one.
Yeah.
Paul and Carson covered Gino. I like the baseball one. I think I might have to go basketball just to, basketball will throw in, I guess, like a Kevin Durant.
Okay.
Kevin Durant, something Nets. Go, Ryan.
Actually, you know what? Can I change my vote to number
Kyrie
99?
Irving Nets jersey. Kyrie Irving Nets jersey.
Oh, I don't wish that on anybody.
Yeah, really.
Paul's gonna
Hey,
give
hey,
me a
Ken-
judge, right?
A judge, right?
There you go.
Hey, Kenny, can I do one more like the
Yeah.
K&K song that I wrote last year?
Yeah,
Some of these
yeah.
guys never heard.
Yeah.
Okay. Guys, this is to Jingle Bells. Oh, and I also did one for Joey Clams. So
Yeah, he'll be around
I can do-
tomorrow.
Tomorrow
yeah.
we'll do his
Yeah.
because you do his live.
Yeah. So this is I wrote last year for all the guys. So I sort of updated it. All right. So it's to the song Jingle Bells. K and K, K and K, K and K all the way. Oh, how the guys love to talk about all the sports they used to play. Oh, K and K, K and K, K and K all the way. Oh, how the guys love to talk about all the sports they used to play. Dashing through their house, getting ready for the show. Carson, Ryan, Kenny, Sis, and Kurt, no time to take a blow. Quick hitters ready to be discussed, making the guys think. If they don't get ready on Zoom by 8, their fans will agree they stink. Oh, K and K, K and K, K and K all the way. Oh, how the guys love to talk about all the sports they used to play.
That's
Well,
awesome.
There you
That's
go.
fantastic.
That's
Thanks.
great.
Keith is saying I'm getting Kurt a Flacco Broncos jersey. I have one, Keith. Don't worry about it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I do.
Do
Oh,
you?
we do. Yep.
Kurt, why don't we do this? We're running a little over. It's Christmas, but why don't we do? In our closing thoughts, let's talk about what we're going to do for Christmas.
Okay.
And I'm going to give Ryan a minute or less. I'm going to give Ryan 2 minutes or less to talk about Aaron Judge. I'm in the giving mood tonight. It's been a fun show. We'll talk about, and I'm not saying we're going over, but I want, appreciate everybody. I'll get that in my closing thoughts. But Ryan, go ahead. 2 minutes or less. Give us what your thoughts were on
Yeah.
Aaron Judge.
So, when I was 11, I wanted to play baseball and I had surgery, so I was laid up for 3 months. And I promise this is relevant. So, what was I doing most of that time? I was watching the Yankees. But I was watching kind of the tail end of that Jeter, Pettit, Mo core four era. So I watched them on their way out, respected their talent, but I didn't really see most of their careers. I kind of just knew about what they did. Aaron Judge is kind of the first real homegrown Yankee that I've been able to watch from the ground up. I've been able to watch him come up as a prospect and strike out 50% of the time, and then become Rookie of the Year, MVP, and now AL record holder. And it's been really amazing to watch him do that. It was when it first came out that originally that Arson Judge had gone to the Giants, I was very upset. I was on the phone with my dad, and he could hear in my voice how upset I was. I'm incredibly grateful that he's back in New York. He is one of my favorite players of all time in any sport. And I think that Yankees fans who are coming up the last few years, he's kind of that first guy in our era that we can really look at and say, this is our guy going forward. He deserves the captainship. I think everybody agreed that. And I'm very happy that they came to an agreement, and I can't wait to watch him for the next 9 years. Let's get him a ring.
Absolutely, Ryan. Thank you. Kurt, Christmas story, not Christmas story, but final thoughts and what everybody's doing for Christmas.
Real quick,
you run the order.
Jody has a question. If Judge doesn't hit a ton of home runs, what else does he do well besides strikeout?
Fields, lead the team, get walks, provide protection, but I don't want to take anyone else's time.
No, you're fine. Uh, I agree with you there, Ryan. To me, he's got to prove more in the playoffs. But you know what?
I agree with that,
He's
but
back for the next 10 years. So you know
like
what?
I said before, Justin Verlander's terrible in the playoffs, and I don't think anyone would disagree that he's.
Yeah, I mean, we've got time to discuss a lot of baseball in the upcoming weeks. You know, we'll get to that for sure. Kurt, you run the order like we always do. Final thoughts, and you know what you're doing. You know, for Christmas.
For Christmas.
No, you run the final. You know, you want to go first?
Oh yeah,
you
I'll go first. I'll go first. So for Christmas, Jen and I on what is it? Saturday, Christmas Eve, we'll do. We'll go by Jen's parents, then we'll go by my parents. Then for Christmas Day, we have everybody over the house. I said to Jen this year when the schedules came out, I ain't going anywhere, so everybody better be coming over because I got my Knicks at 12. I got 4:30 my Broncos Rams. So we'll be home. The sports room will be rocking. But obviously look forward to it. It's with both of our families, with all our, you know, we put all the families together. So obviously we look forward to that. And other than that, you guys have a Merry Christmas, obviously, because you're all part of our family. That's how we obviously all feel about each other. So hope everyone has a Merry Christmas there. I will not say Holly Jolly this week, Brian, because they did lose. So that's that. But
I had to send you that in the group chat the second
that
happened. I'm surprised you didn't send me a certain emoji.
No, I'm gonna hold. Listen. I still have a lot of weeks to go Holly Jolly. It's not over, trust me. But I'll go again. You guys and obviously all our listeners and stuff. Merry Christmas. But especially you guys. Everybody have a Merry Christmas. I'll go to Carson next.
Yeah, obviously, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to all the viewers, all the people on the panel. You guys are awesome. Hopefully, everybody stays safe out there. I know in the East, we're supposed to get a nasty snowstorm in a couple of days from now. But yeah, you guys are awesome. You guys are my second family. Love sharing the memories we have this past year and many more for 2023.
And Carson, please tell us about Ticket Time like you always do at the end of our shows as well.
Yeah, if you guys like casino content, I'm live a couple nights a week. We're on Facebook now as well. Just search Ticket Time. We do roulette, slots, blackjack, the whole 9 yards. We're live a couple nights a week over there at 8:30 Eastern.
Yes, and please, guys, if you like gambling, like Carson said, subscribe to his channel. It doesn't take much, doesn't cost anything. Carson is part of our family. We love our listeners, and he's definitely on Facebook now. So, you know, for those who are only on Facebook, go check him out.
For really saying, Kenny, agree or disagree? He's saying he wants to show up. Christmas Day to make like a visit, and he said that would be a Christmas present for all the Valentes. Agree or disagree?
I totally agree with that.
Let's go to Ryan.
All right. Well, guys, thank you very much. Quick, brief, serious note. I want to put my prayers up for Broncos country. Their
Ronnie Hillman.
former defender, Ronnie Hillman.
I didn't realize that. I forgot to mention that. Yeah. Good job, Ryan.
In critical condition, I believe, and is in hospice care. So my prayers are out for Broncos country with that. You know, you guys, I mean, I joined the show, I think it was 8 months ago today, 3 episodes in. I felt like I've been doing the show for 2 years. I love this group. Everyone always brings a wealth of both knowledge and, you know, fun banter, which always, you know, is a great balance to the show. You know, I look forward to every Wednesday. This is my favorite part, one of my favorite parts of the week, every single week. And I'm looking forward to what the new year is going to bring for the show and for all of our favorite teams. May you guys all have a wonderful Christmas, a happy New Year. Paul, have a blessed rest of Hanukkah, and I look forward to seeing what happens over the next few weeks. And stay safe, everybody, with the storm that's coming up.
Yep. By the way, real quick, I think. A couple of comments. Keith saying we love the K&K Sports Show. Really saying either way, a guaranteed laugh. Keith saying thoughts with Hillman. Jody saying love the show, guys. Keep up the great work. If I'm not mistaken, this is the first time, and this is probably all my fault and my team's fault, but this might be the first time all year that all of our teams won in the same week.
Yeah, it's funny you said that, Kurt. I was thinking about the same thing. Yes.
Wow.
I think I'm right because
I think you're right.
The line when the Broncos were 2-1. When did you win your first game, Carson?
Oh God, it was
You went to that game, I think.
Yeah, I was at that game against the Commanders the
Yeah.
second week of the season.
So it might have been week 2. We might have won all. We all might have won week 2. But
I know my
Right,
team did.
right.
it's a first time in a long
Yeah,
time.
we won too.
Let's go to Paul.
Thanks, Kurt. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. It's always a pleasure, no matter what else goes on, to have these 2 hours or so and to talk with you guys. Like everyone else has said, my second family. This weekend, Luby and I are going to be hunkering down in as cold as Florida has seen in about 30 years, they said. It's going to probably be as cold, if not colder, in some spots in the north and the rest of the country. So it's going to be an interesting day. Floridians are not used to sub 30-degree weather and wind chill factors in the 20s. So it should be interesting to see that.
Paul, do you even have like winter clothes and like coats and stuff like that?
You know,
Seriously.
it's funny. Yes, I do have. I have a lot of giant wardrobe jackets and stuff that I used to wear in the winter going to the Giant games. I brought them down with me. I have those. I never threw them away, even though Luby wanted me to. Thankfully, I've never gotten rid of them. So I don't have a lot of it. I mean, I have sweatshirts and stuff. Believe me, some of the people down here, it gets below 60 and they get cold. So they're going to freak out when it gets to be 30 and 28 degrees down here.
All right, Mr. Kirkpatrick, finish us off.
Okay, real quick, I do want to also, on a serious note, a lot of you all know I work with the hospital audience and whatever. I work with troubled patients. Some of those patients are combative, and we work with police officers as well. So I know a lot of the police officers in town. And Saturday was one of the officers that I know was on a traffic stop, and the person that he pulled over opened fire. And he was in intensive care. He pulled out of surgery. Just want to send thoughts and prayers out to Officer Michael Flynn. He's pulling through. He's in stable condition right now. Thoughts and prayers to his family during this Christmas holiday, and they'll get through it. So just a little shaken up by it, but he's a strong guy and he's a good guy. So let's pray for Officer Michael Flynn to pull through.
Absolutely.
And if I could just say, every police officer, every first responder, fireman, every first line, you're certainly the hospital also. They all are included.
Absolutely. And I'll be working this weekend, and my work family. You guys are my second family, just like you all said. You know, we all become family. Paul, I've known you for 2 years. Carson, known you forever now. Ryan, you're the newbie, but feel like known you forever. And Kurt, you know, I've known you since day one. So, you know, we've known each other forever. So we fight all the time like brothers, and we laugh like brothers. So Merry Christmas to all. You know, I hope everybody has a great holiday. We'll see everybody next week. We'll probably do a little like review show next week. I'll fill Ryan in, but Paul and Carson know what we did last year, so I'll fill you guys in.
Yeah, guys, let me just say, because I will not be. Jen and I are going away for 2 days, so I will not be on. So I want to wish you guys not only Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, all that, but also a Happy New Year's. I mean, maybe I'll chat in and stuff like that, but I will not be on Wednesday. Thursday I will be on next Thursday.
And after the show, stay on for 5 seconds after the show. We'll log off and stay on for 5 seconds.
Real quick, Manny DeLima, big Cowboy fan, saying Merry Christmas, fellas. What's up, Manny? Merry Christmas to you and Melissa and the family also.
All right, guys, that's it from me, Kurt.
All right, us too. Guys, enjoy. Everybody enjoy the holidays, and we'll see you guys next week.